Anthony Fauci moments ago with a new warning for Americans.
If you leapfrog over different phases, you increase the risk that you're going to have the kind of resurgences that we're seeing in certain of the states.
Has the United States stalled in the fight against coronavirus?
I'm not so sure we can say it's stalled, but what we're seeing right now is something obviously that's disturbing.
Something obviously that is disturbing. And Fauci's warning coming as the CDC is projecting another 16,000 deaths in the next 3 weeks alone. Erica Hill is out front.
Reopening now on pause in Oregon and Utah as new cases mount.
As long as we give the virus an opportunity to jump from one host to another, that's what it's going to do.
The governor of Texas looking to July 4th for a full reopening of his state as Harris County, which includes Houston, records some of its highest numbers to date for new cases and hospitalizations.
We've got to take action now so that we avoid a shutdown in the future.
Houston's Energy Stadium being prepped as a field hospital just in case. 19 states are trending up in the past week. Texas, Florida, and South Carolina posting single-day records as the CDC predicts 130,000 virus-related deaths by July 4th.
We're in the early days of the pandemic, and if only 5 or 10% of the population has had this infection, we have a really long way to go.
The agency recommending the best way to stay safe, keep your distance, avoid travel, and wear a mask.
I know it's become politicized. Put that aside. The virus knows no politics.
Face coverings required in LA County, which moved into phase 3 today after recording its highest single-day increase this week. Gyms, day camps, and TV and film production among the businesses reopening. Missouri will fully reopen next week. Concerts and conventions can resume in Georgia July 1st. Meantime, anyone attending the president's campaign rally next week in Tulsa must sign a waiver promising not to sue if they contract the virus.
We know that the types of conditions that lead to the highest rate of COVID-19 transmission are crowded indoor spaces with a lot of people who are shouting and screaming. I think it's almost certain that we will see super spreader events come from these rallies.
In terms of those rallies, the CDC did put out these guidelines again on Friday, and they were asked on a call about their guidelines for high-risk large gatherings, which include ones where you can't socially distance, where people may come from out of state, whether there was specific guidance for political rallies. And they were told, reporters were told on the call that this is guidance for all large gatherings, basically anything, Aaron, bigger than a backyard barbecue.
All right. Thank you, Erica. And I want to bring in Dr. Jonathan Reiner, who advised the George W. Bush White House for 8 years and is also a member of the Outfront medical team. So, Dr. Reiner, you know, the CDC coming out, another 16,000 deaths in the next 3 weeks, case counts rising in 19 states. So is this the original wave and more testing, or is this the beginning of a resurgence?
No, this is the first wave. We're not out of the first wave. If you look at the data, for the last month, the moving 7-day average of new cases has been basically pegged at 20,000. Every single day there are 20,000 new cases in the United States. And deaths for at least the last week have been plateaued at 900. So if you move forward 3 weeks and you do the math, 900 cases a day is about another 18,000 cases. And that takes us to about 132,000 deaths by July 1st. We are very much still in the first wave.
So, okay, so then, in other words, anything that is coming as a result of reopening, we have not yet seen, is what you're basically saying, right? So if there is going to be an impact from that, that's not yet there.
Look, in a state like Arizona, which had relatively few cases at the outset, we've seen a steady increase in cases over the last month. So we're not seeing a resurgence in Arizona. We're seeing Arizona not yet peak, right? In other places, we're starting to see perhaps small hints of resurgence. And it's different from place to place in this country.
So, this comes as, you heard Dr. Fauci say, what he's seeing is disturbing in that interview with Wolf. And a new study from Texas A&M now says the most effective way to stop person-to-person spread is what we already know. And the experts on the White House team have all told us is by wearing a mask, right? They've called it a vaccine, that it could be almost as effective as a vaccine in terms of providing herd immunity. And yet, obviously, the president doesn't wear one. The vice president today visited a diner in Pennsylvania today. Let me just show it to you. There he is. See, hardly any masks, no social distancing. I mean, and obviously plenty of these people that you can see are older. The Secret Service, I think, is the only guy wearing a mask. I mean, what is going on here, Dr. Reiner?
The White House has really an irreconcilable conflict of interest. The president is running for re-election, and they have to pretend that we're moving back to normal. And if the president or vice president is seen wearing a mask in public, that looks decidedly abnormal. It's a conflict of interest. How dare the president or the vice president go into a crowd and not promote the use of masks? We saw a photo from the vice president at Trump-Pence headquarters with dozens of people crowded shoulder to shoulder, no one wearing a mask. That's how you kill people in this country. Right, a mask is like a vaccine. Why would you not promote the use of masks?
Well, it makes no sense. And even if Vice President Pence had been tested, even if everyone who walked in that room was tested, you're clearly trying to send a message that you don't wear masks and that there's no problem. And by the way, I don't have any indication that they were. I'm just saying, even if it's not the point. Plus, the tests themselves are inaccurate. So the president's planning to hold campaign rallies in 5 states that have rising case counts. CDC obviously warning, and we all know large gatherings are exactly how this thing spreads. So, what do you say about these campaign rallies? And, you had to sign a waiver. So if you get coronavirus from a Trump campaign, and God forbid something serious happens to you, you can't sue Donald J. Trump. That's what it says.
Yeah. So I think if the risk is low and if it's safe to gather in large numbers at a political rally, I would just challenge the president to drop that disclaimer, drop that proviso to the attendees. Assume risk. Why is the president asking attendees to assume a risk? Look, the CDC today issued guidance on large gatherings, and they warned about it. Tulsa is a place which actually today had a record number of cases. So the president is holding a rally in a hot zone.
It's amazing.
That's how you propagate the pandemic.
Yeah, if he says that it's not a problem and not a risk, he doesn't wear a mask, then he should be fine with people coming and.
Drop the disclaimer.
Should assume the legal risk. Drop the disclaimer. All right, Dr. Reiner, thank you very much.